Yo, what up? It's Aaron Moses. Gang, man, we got a how would sports star ended up in a street fight. Make sure you hit that like button, man, because I don't know what's gonna be said. I don't know necessarily if there's gonna be any profanity. I'm gonna try to control myself. Excuse me, but at the end of the day, even if this video doesn't monetize us, I still want you to hit that like button so more people can see this video, man. It's not necessarily about the money, it is about the likes, though. Get the likes up. Yeah, let's get it.
Thursday, March 31st,
Oh, that's the day after my birthday, and that's the same day that Nipsey Hussle left this earth, man. R.I.P. King Nip.
2022 was supposed to be a normal night in St. Paul
Minnesota.
before volleys of gunfire echoed through the North End. Police learned one of the shooters was legally carrying concealed, and initial info said there had been dozens of rounds fired.
Copy.
I'm recording this off a 2003 flip phone. What is this?
Is there a Bravo squad at Regions monitoring at all?
Bravo squad, military stuff.
And there should be another victim coming in that vehicle that left. 363, did they leave in what direction?
Yep, still snow on the ground. Niggas wearing hoodies with snow on the ground. I know exactly where this at.
Stay right here.
I have family in Minnesota.
Hey, where's the other person? Hey, get back.
Get bite. That man from Florida.
363, could you add Hotel Alpha Alpha 105? Looks like they got
Possible
one person
suspect
in their
video.
car. Stay right there.
Everybody wearing red.
Hotel
That's
Alpha
not good.
Alpha 105 is it's like a small Chevy sedan.
You shut up there by yourself?
21-year-old Dion Ford, with a lawful permit to carry, was lying on the ground with his firearm in his hand. Ford was an ex-Central High School basketball and football player who had helped his team win 22 matches, including tough ones against Minneapolis North. After graduating from Central High, Ford played passionately and participated in junior college in North Dakota and Wyoming. He pursued an engineering major at Augsburg University in Minneapolis. Ford was a bright child, and naturally people around him, including his coaches, parents, and colleagues, had high hopes for him and his promising future. His friends organized multiple charity drives to honor his life, while the community launched the Dion Ford Scholarship to help aspiring athletes like Ford in their careers. Yet, one question remained. Who killed this young man? Let's go back to the
Look, I'm not trying to be like that, but I'm thinking this is like an NFL player. And because my first thought was, I didn't see this in the news. This dude's a college. I mean, I'm not saying that his life is not important, but I'm thinking this is somebody that I would know, even though I don't even watch sports. But a sports star. Well, I thought he was a professional sports star. But R.I.P. to that young man. Y'all put a little bit too much yeast on this title, but I get it.
Supermarket on Thursday, March 31st,
Got my attention.
when two men were suspiciously following Ford. Detectives got their first break in the case when they found Ford on security camera footage from the market near where he was shot. Ford went inside a nearby restaurant with the two suspects who followed him inside the market, still hot on his trail. Their intentions became all too clear when Ford walked over to his Chevy Cobalt on the street outside, and one of the suspects followed from behind. He initially started talking to Ford lightly. However, the CCTV footage showed that his hand was inside his pocket. Shortly after, Ford backed away. The suspect leaned inside his vehicle, possibly searching for something. It was clear to Ford he was about to be robbed or carjacked. This was when Ford decided he wasn't about to let a random robber get his way with him, and did something that would ultimately cost him his life. In this case, the good guy managed to get the first shot off and successfully strike his target. Unfortunately, that would not be the end of the story. The suspect fell to the ground. Pulling out his handgun, he started shooting blindly at Ford. Although Ford tried defending himself, he was shot in the head. Ford instantly fell to the ground and lost consciousness. As if that wasn't enough for the suspect,
He stood over.
he shot Ford an additional 13 times.
Damn.
As Ford lay there lifeless, a Chevrolet Cruze stopped nearby and outwalked a man who then fired more shots at Ford, while the suspect was being helped back into the Chevy Cruze. At 9:15 p.m., Ramsey County authorities received multiple calls from Maryland Avenue with the same information. there was a male bleeding to death in front of them. Ford's body was lying in between the Maryland Market and a restaurant when the police arrived. While the suspect was being helped back into the Chevy Cruze, Ford was surrounded by multiple shell casings, which suggested that there had been a prolonged exchange of gunfire. According to the report, witnesses said they heard 20 to 40 consecutive gunshots before they called 911. Medical assistance promptly arrived at the scene, and at 9:20.
Bro, that was not a gunfight. He got whacked. That wasn't a gunfight, bro. 9 times out of 10, that was somebody who orchestrated that on purpose. He got shot in the head. He let off one shot and he got shot 15 times, 14 times. That was not a gunfight. He didn't shoot back after that if he lost consciousness. Not a gunfight. Somebody riddled him.
8 p.m., just 15 minutes later, Ford was pronounced dead.
Yeah.
The officers stopped the Cruze from escaping and found the injured suspect inside, who was transported to Regents Hospital due to his critical condition. The officers also searched the vehicle for any weapons, but they didn't find any.
No.
They say both men pulled guns out of their pockets and started shooting at each other. And according to the criminal complaint, when they arrived on the scene, they found the men on the ground. Witnesses reported hearing 20 to 40 shots. Police say they found a permit to carry in Ford's wallet. He had a gunshot wound to the head and was pronounced dead at the scene. Police say Ford was already on the ground when Bell shot 13 more times at his lifeless body. Ford's death is sending shockwaves through the youth sports community.
On April 4th, 2022, Ramsey County authorities issued an arrest warrant for 21-year-old D'Angelo Dampier, the carjacker's accomplice who pulled up on the shooting scene and fired more rounds at Ford. Dampier revealed that the Chevrolet Cruze belonged to his girlfriend Vivian, who drove Dampier and his brother, 23-year-old Xavion Tyrese Bell, to the supermarket.
When Vivian backs in, you guys get out, you go into the store first, right? And then you go to the restaurant.
Yep.
And then you run into this other gentleman that was involved in this. Do you know his name?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay. All right. His name was Mr. Ford. Dion? Do you know Dion Ford?
Yeah,
Have you ever seen him before?
Yes, you have.
But I just figured out who he hangs around.
Okay. All right.
So you know him.
When asked about Ford, Dampier said he didn't know who he was or why they were following him. He also claimed that Bell didn't know Ford before the incident.
Excuse me.
And some of the things I find you being very truthful, and some things you're not being truthful.
He knew him.
Remember, we watched a lot of video. Okay? And you run back to the car because why?
I heard the shot.
Okay. So what does shots mean to you? I mean,
I don't know, it's just like, I felt something in I just felt a weird feeling. Because I didn't know who was getting shot at or who was shooting. I just had that feeling. It's like my body told me go back to the store. And that's when I seen them two laid out on the floor. So I helped my brother up. I told her to help me call somebody to do something, trying to take him to the hospital. And
But they stayed there.
Couldn't move or nothing. And,
You couldn't pick him up, yeah, so they
you had
stayed
a weird
there.
feeling. Because generally when you hear shots fired in the neighborhood, which I'm sure you do,
Yes,
you don't run towards them, do you?
No, it depends. If one
It
of my
depends.
homies, one of my brothers is in that spot, I'm gonna go back. But if it's like all my people with me, I'm not gonna go back. I don't care.
Okay.
Nothing to do.
So he hands you a gun or a phone?
Yeah.
Okay. And what do you do with that object? You put it in your sweatshirt, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the plan with that object? What are you gonna do?
Get rid of
Try to
it.
protect your brother?
I guess so.
Did you ever hide it in the car, or you always kept it in your sweatshirt?
No, I took it.
Okay, you took it with you.
I don't know.
What did you do with that gun?
I don't really remember. I either tossed it or, I don't know, somebody took it from me while I put it down or some shit like that, because I went to the house that night. And
What house did you go to?
my house.
Your house? Is it still at the house?
No. That's what I'm saying. My shoes is gone. Some people went in there and took all my shit. You can even act.
The investigator
So definitely the female told on him. Because how did they get... because, yeah, she stayed on the scene and he left. This is why, gentlemen, you don't do crimes with anybody with it that doesn't have a Y chromosome. The dudes already tell. But the likelihood of you getting told on by a female, a chaotic person that has no control over their body, she's going to tell on you. And it's not her fault. It's your fault for doing a crime with her and putting her in that position. And now her life is possibly in danger because they view her as a snitch now, which she is. But it's not wise.
Then asked what Dampier did when he saw his brother lying on the ground.
You might as well snitch on yourself if you do a crime with a female. You might as well just turn yourself in.
To which he responded, "Right hand to God, I shot." Dampier initially told the police that he shot 5 to 6 times, but he later confessed that he emptied his entire 9mm when he reached the scene. Towards the end, Dampier expressed his frustration at how Ford was being made out to be the innocent citizen who tragically died, and they are being blamed as murderers. After a thorough investigation, Dampier was charged with possessing a firearm, aiding a criminal in second-degree murder on March 31st, alongside illegal possession of a gun. On February 1st, 2023, justice was finally served as Ramsey County Judge Andrew Gordon sentenced Dampier, the second shooter, to 25 years imprisonment. The state had initially requested 367 months, which would have been the maximum under state sentencing guidelines, while Dampier asked the judge for 15 years. However, the judge denied both demands, saying he held Bell, the first shooter, more responsible for the incident.
Bell's brother is already behind bars for his role in the murder. Back in February, a jury found D'Angelo Dampier guilty of several counts, including aiding and abetting second-degree murder. He was sentenced to 25 years in prison. Bell's plea deal also required him to enter guilty pleas in 2 other cases for a total of 5 first-degree aggravated robbery convictions.
Bell was given 30 years imprisonment, and it was established that the incident was triggered by Bell's attempt to rob Ford, who simply fired in his defense and was permitted to carry a gun.
Touches your heart when you know who that person is.
Ford, a star athlete and former Central High School student, was respected and loved by so many, including his former wrestling coach, teacher, and mentor.
Spent a lot of time with him.
Dominique Gilmer.
I showed him that I cared about him, and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna try to, do well." This is a goofy kid that wanted to do well.
Every year, you're losing loved ones to gun violence. He has committed it's disgusting, and for him to be...
That sucks, man. So that's one thing that my mom did teach me, bro. When you have a weapon, bro, just make sure that when you pull it, you use it, and you use it to the fullest extent that you can, right? So if somebody's gonna try to rob you, well, depending on what state that you're in, right? I can't just give you that advice. If you're in specific states and you do the research on the law in your state, if somebody tries to do something to you, make sure they can't do anything after that, bro. Make sure you don't let that person live. You might say, Aaron Moses, but I have a real appreciation for life. They might get mad and retaliate, or they might be trying to hold on for their life, or they might... No, if you pop somebody, end their life. End it. It's not worth it, bro. Don't try to, maybe they could just go to jail for 10 years for armed robbery, and they could be somebody when they get out. That's not yours. They shouldn't have been robbing in the first place. If they wanted to keep their life, they shouldn't have tried to do that in the first place. It is what it is, bro. If that's not what the law permits you to do, then of course don't do it. But you see what happened? He tried to spare, bro, or maybe he was scared, or maybe his hands were too cold to keep pulling the trip, whatever the case. He should have made sure that he ended him and drove off, got home, and called the police later. But now look at him. Probably a good kid. Probably never really did anything to anybody for real. Probably had a bright future ahead of him. But this is what happens when you spare the life of the evil. Evil needs to be destroyed. He might have had a child. He might have had an eviction notice with his baby in the crib and they didn't have anywhere to go. Hey, your baby's not more important than me, because that's just not how it is. But it is what it is. It's not what it's not. It's Aaron Moses. I'm the bang, you the bang. We the bang together, man. Life's in the brother. Breathe it in. Peace.